This is Weekend File on the NTA, the first edition in the new year. We are live in Abuja. Thanks for joining us. The year 2020 has come and gone, but not without its ups and downs, not peculiar to Nigeria. As early as March, the novel COVID-19 pandemic with its huge impact on global economics affected Nigeria with far-reaching consequences for the government and citizens. With sense of focus and to tackle the pandemic head-on, the international community, including Nigeria, were compelled to divert resources for national development to save lives, with the understanding that without a healthy nation, the pursuit of economic prosperity will never be realized. Indeed, the pandemic completely changed the way of doing business and brought about a new normal as part of survival strategy. While the pandemic rages, Nigeria's major revenue earner, oil, suffered a setback as the international oil market collapsed, bringing the nation's economic activities to a standstill. We will not forget in a hurry, too, that the NSAS protest compounded the nation's challenges. However, President Muhammadu Buhari was steadfast in piloting the affairs of the nation despite all challenges to the economy. There was massive provision of funds for national response to COVID-19. NSAS protest was dismantled and the federal government took the bull by the horns by injecting a stimulus fund of over 3 trillion naira to boost the economy, provide national infrastructure, and support various humanitarian and social programs. These brought high cushioning effects to the citizenry and the private sector, setting the nation's economy back to recovery. There is evidence that the nation's economy is picking up very fast as Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, still remains #1 in Africa and the 26th largest economy in the world. Today, Nigeria leads the African common market to further open her economic potentials for the good of the country and the continent. Already, the federal government has upscaled the fight against insecurity and job creation is ongoing across all segments, with the fight against corruption reinforced on daily basis. Now, with a budget of 13.5 trillion naira for 2021, Nigeria is surely moving fast towards sustainable national prosperity in the new year and beyond. So tonight on the Weekend File, if there is one thing Nigerians and the government need, it is for this year to be different, rekindling hopes and aspirations while overcoming the huge challenges of coronavirus pandemic, and we reflect upon the outgone year and prospects for economic prosperity in 2021. Our guest is the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Senator George Akume. I am Kene Ima Abodike. Let's serve you the news first. We'll start with security, where the Nigerian Air Force has launched a special operation codenamed Exercise Taimakoyazo to further secure the Abuja-Kaduna Highway. Ahmad Umar Kudan reports that the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, launched the exercise in Rijana village along the highway.
With a clear-cut mandate to make Kaduna-Abuja Highway safer, these special forces are to search and combat criminal elements as they rescue victims of crimes. Utilizing air and ground components, Exercise Taimakoyazo, meaning help has come, aims at detecting and eliminating bandits and kidnappers, including their camps along the highway. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, says the exercise will be sustained and extended to Zamfara and Katsina states.
I'm sure it has impacted positively. It has also deterred criminals from coming out on this road to attack innocent citizens. And I said it's an exercise that is going to be a continuous one. We make sure that at short notice, without anybody even not knowing, we'll be doing these exercises in between the 6 major ones that we're planning.
This inauguration brings another sigh of relief to motorists and regional community that has been in the news for the notorious activities of kidnappers and bandits.
When you give the information, they will go to reveal it to these bandits. Later on, they will come and meet you and kill you at home. But maybe this time around, if we can see this kind of magic today, we know they are ready to work and fight these kind of bandits inside our bush.
The exercise is being conducted under the Nigerian Air Force Special Operations Command. In Kaduna, Ahmed Umar Kudang, NTA News.
At the meantime, the Directorate of Defense Media Operations DMO says all air interdiction missions being conducted by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole have continued to deal with terrorist elements operating in the northeast zone of the country, with the elimination of Boko Haram terrorists and destruction of their structures and logistics store. DMO Coordinator Major General John NTA indicates that the latest of these was achieved on January 1, 2021 at Manawaji in Borno State, where the terrorists set up a new settlement. The air strikes were executed employing Nigerian Air Force fighter platforms after a series of aerial surveillance missions revealed that a new settlement was being used to store weapons, logistics items, and staging area for attacks. The NAF attack aircraft subsequently destroyed some of the structures and logistics stores. Several insurgents were also neutralized in the process. To other matters now, following the federal government's drive towards ensuring all subscriber registrations are linked with national identification numbers, NINs, and all stakeholders in the industry to work together to achieve a seamless process, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Ali Pantami, has approved a SIM replacement policy for subscribers whose SIMs have been lost, stolen, misplaced, or damaged. A statement by the Director of Public Affairs, Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), Ikechukwu Adinde, indicates that the replacement is subject to conditions including that the subscriber presents a national identity number (NIN), that an effective verification of the NIN is carried out by National Identity Management Commission (NIMC), and that the relevant guidelines and regulations of NCC concerning SIM replacement are fully adhered to. This policy is part of the federal government's efforts to reduce the burden on subscribers and simplify the exercise, and it is aimed at enabling telecommunications services users who need to replace their damaged, stolen, or misplaced SIMs to re-establish access to telecom services, the statement added. It has been predicted that agriculture will be at the center stage of transaction at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that came into existence this January 2021. Musa Baba Aliyu takes a look at Nigeria food production business and the Continental Free Trade Area.
Even before the idea of the African Continental Free Trade Area was conceived, Nigeria has been the source of food, especially grains, for more than 10 African countries in West, East and Central Africa. The business, though 90% informal, are being transacted at an open grains market like this. The African Continental Free Trade Area is therefore expected to further strengthen Nigeria's agribusiness tied with other African nations.
If you can target another commodity, say 10 other commodities, say even if they are giving us $30 million, 10, that would be $300 million just for 10 commodities. And we have a lot. Sugarcane, we can export. Sesame, we can export. Honey, we can export.
Tijani Silagaro, a hides and skin merchant in Kano, says Nigeria will penetrate other international leather markets through the AFCTA.
We have established a lot of contact with shoe manufacturers in Nigeria and leather goods manufacturers generally in Lagos, in Aba, and in Kano here, that their products can be exported to South Africa, to Egypt, to a lot of countries.
People who have made investment in the oil sector will be able to repeat, and other people will come in to make investment and make gain. So it is the best step in resuscitating the oil palm sector in Nigeria.
For business like this and others that are taking place across the African continent, the World Bank estimated that the monies that exchange hands daily worth more than $300 billion. The African Development Bank also forecasts that such businesses will hit $1 trillion under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Agricultural economists are of the view that for Nigeria to have a huge chunk of the business, issues relating to quality, standard and packaging must be addressed.
We are going to organize all our research institutions to make meaningful research, to develop products and allow them to sell.
Value addition to Nigeria's agricultural produce such as cocoa, coconut, shea nut, ginger, industrialists believe will boost the country's revenue and attract more market. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
This is Weekend File. When we return, our conversation will focus on assessing the outgone year 2020 and prospects for 2021. Do stay.
Are you ready for this?
Let me hear you, AJ. Give me some bass. That good for you? Nice, AJ. Bring it out. Double it.
I was born hungry for success. It's the Nigerian way.
Glow gets it. Champions stay hungry.
Oh yeah, Glow gets it big time. One more for sure. Champions go the distance and then go further. Glow, the heart of a champion.
Season's greetings from the Federal Road Safety Commission.
The Federal Road Safety Corps appreciates all road users and all other stakeholders for your cooperation.
This is a season of peace, joy, and love. Road crashes are trending down in Nigeria, and together we shall keep it down. I urge you to travel safe and avoid drinking while you drive.
These are presidential orders. All public buses, taxis and tricycles must travel at 50% capacity, and drivers are to ensure passengers wear face masks.
Be alert, avoid dangerous driving and behavior.
Wishing you a safe and prosperous year ahead.
The Corps wishes you happy celebration and safe travels.
In case of road crash, call toll-free lines 122 or 0700-225-53772.
Announcer BC Kazim, Assistant Corps Marshal, Corps Public Education Officer, FRSC.
As the countdown to the new year begins, we here at NTA cannot help but look back on a challenging year that has been filled with many lessons. The most important of all being a renewed gratitude for the continued support of our sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, businesses and manufacturers, and you, the viewers. As we cross the finish line together, this celebration of new beginnings would simply be incomplete without you there, and we look forward to sharing the coming year with you. Here's to an excellent year ahead.
Do you know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on daily basis? Some are killed in the process, some take their lives in shame, others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize giant they are. Say no to rape.
love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
Welcome back. Nigeria's economic outlook for the year 2020 drew a lot of attention as conscious efforts to steer the wheel out of recession continued with several intervention plans and policies in place to drive the process. Dotun Ogunyemi in this report examines key performance index driving growth for economic emancipation.
Prior to 2020, the Nigerian economy continued to experience a positive growth trajectory, having had a significant recovery from 2016-2017 recession, which was triggered by the drop in commodity prices in 2016. This, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, was followed by 12 consecutive quarters of expansion, with a GDP growth rate of 2.5% in the fourth quarter of 2019. But all that changed due to the outbreak of COVID-19, plunging global oil prices and economies.
Like other economies, the Nigerian economy was not immune from the COVID-19 shock in 2020. Nigeria's GDP contracted by minus 3.4% during the third quarter of 2020, a welcome improvement from minus 6.1% recorded during the second quarter.
With a total of 18 sectors of the Nigerian economy experiencing positive growth in the third quarter of 2020, the CBN is pushing its interventions and policies to ensure that Nigeria exits the recession by first quarter of 2021.
What the government needs for every one of us is to support them in the best way we can.
There is conscious effort toward diversifying the base of our economy away from just oil.
As the nation enters the second wave of the virus, the federal government believes several policies put in place will help the economic projections as economic experts prospect a positive outlook for the year 2021. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
In spite of the negative impact of COVID-19 and the global economic recession, Kaduna State got a fair share of the provision of critical infrastructure by the federal government in the outgone year 2020. Suleiman Abdullahi tells us more.
Covering more than 300 kilometers, the Kaduna-Zaria-Kano dual carriageway, awarded 3 years ago, and the Kaduna Eastern Bypass are major projects among the series of critical infrastructure being provided by the federal government.
For the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano road, we have put the funding into a special vehicle, a presidential infrastructure development fund.
These are in addition to the Kaduna-Abuja standard gauge rail line brought into full operation by the Buhari administration. In the meantime, Kaduna State government is complementing with provision of massive and visionary projects under its urban renewal initiative. Erstwhile dilapidated road networks have now been reconstructed and dualized, opening up the state and placing it on sound pedestal of development.
Actually, from the look of things, yeah, there are some areas that work are still going on, work have been finished. He has done so much, he has done very well.
I traveled from here to Katsina. That are bad have been fixed during this period, so I'm sure as time goes on, when the roads are done, it will open up most areas.
Ajaokuta Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline is another milestone by the Buhari administration. The gas pipeline, when completed, is expected to augment other investments made to revamp heirloom factories, including the Moriband textiles industries in Kaduna and Kano states. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
The effect of COVID-19 pandemic on crude oil demand resulting in sharp decline in crude oil prices is an indication that Nigeria's dependence on crude oil is not healthy for the nation's economy. Stakeholders advise government to intensify efforts in diversifying the economy in 2021 as they react on the performance of the oil and gas sector in 2020 and prospects in 2021. Robinson Derataide reports.
The oil and gas industry in Nigeria started on a rocky note in 2020, having been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. The country's upstream oil and gas sector, which provides a significant portion of government revenue and foreign earnings, felt the ripple effect of the pandemic in terms of the decline in crude oil prices, resulting in the adjustment of the budget's crude oil price benchmark from $57 per barrel to $30 in April and later $20 in May.
In terms of production, we have so much, but the demand side was a little bit contracted, owing to the fact that the COVID-19 came in at a time we were expecting so much from that industry.
We can generate our electricity from solar energy, we can generate electricity from wind energy, so that when there is peak oil, when the oil business is not booming anymore, we can resort to the renewable energy.
The relative calm in the upstream production, owing to the hope in the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, the spring up of modular refineries, and the cleanup of oil-polluted communities in the Niger Delta region, experts contend that the projected 3.3% GDP is achievable in 2021 if government diversifies the oil downstream sector, revisit abandoned projects like the Brass NLNG in Bayelsa State, and invest in agriculture in Port Harcourt. Robinson Derataide, NTA News.
Our guest, Senator George Akume, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, joins us live from our Makudi Network Center. Good evening, Honorable Minister, and Happy New Year to you.
To you.
Let's start with the COVID-19 pandemic, which indeed has forced a new normal on all and sundry. Here in Nigeria, the federal government and indeed all stakeholders have managed the scourge or pandemic very, very well vis-a-vis its economic impact. Now, what is your evaluation on that?
Well, thank you very much. When the virus made a dramatic landfall throughout the world with devastating consequences, the whole world was taken completely unawares. Nigeria was no exception. But thanks to Mr. President, a team was quickly put in place. The PTF, headed by none other than the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the PTF was charged with the responsibility of checking the spread of this menace, this pandemic. It was also intended that under his leadership, coordination would be better. And quickly they moved into action. Coming out with protocols to be observed by Nigerians, social distancing, sanitization of self, wearing of mask. And this is what we started doing. At the same time, there was massive mobilization of Nigerians to recognize and appreciate the magnitude of this problem. Those with resources, corporate and individuals, decided to support the government. Government raised its own funds as well to enable the new committee carry out its major national assignment, very sensitive with tragic implications. We know as a fact that if not for this, the situation would have been worse. It is a credit to the PTF. The Nigerians have received daily briefings and are aware of the consequences of this terrible pandemic. Not only that, government also extended assistance to the state to establish centers for evaluation of this terrible disease. The federal government itself has set up many centers where people can go to check themselves, and that is what is going on. I want to believe that at the end of the day, we are going to have many centers across this country for the benefit of people who go to test and know their status. And those who have been infected are being treated, and that is why the number of deaths in this country is low. It speaks volume of the commitment of the President in addressing this very serious pandemic. You also mentioned the issue of economic, but it has terrible implications for the economy. And Nigeria is no exception. It's everywhere. As it has been stated before from a man from Lagos, yes, the economy was growing at 2.5%, and suddenly the virus visited us, and its true spanner in the works are broadly stopping this growth, turning us over again into a recession. Yes, we went into recession in 2016, shortly after government took over in 2015. And of course, the economic recovery and growth plan was assembled by Mr. President, and it was scrupulously implemented. And that is why we were able to pull out of the recession. I'm happy that steps being taken by government through economic sustainability plan are also intended to ensure that the Nigerian economy does not suffer forever. By the first quarter of next year, it is expected that when we pull out of recession, we'll spend ourselves through recession. I am also encouraged by what I had 3 months ago from the IMF. They say Sub-Saharan Africa will pull out of recession in the first quarter of 2021. So we have every cause to believe in what the federal government is doing in the management of this economy at this material point in time. The economic sustainability plan is known to all of you. It's so rich. It's a very rich package, and many Nigerians, young and old, women and so on, are already going into this. The focus in certain areas like agriculture, where it is expected that will provide 20 to 100,000 hectares of farmland in each state of the Federation for the cultivation of various produce. Extensive public works and road construction program are being focused. Of course, mass housing program, which is also expected to be driven by our young professionals. 300 housing homes will be created every year, which is a huge enterprise, and it's going to absorb so many of our young men and women in that sector. We're looking at installation of these solar home systems, and this is expected to cover over 5 million homes. People who are not connected to the national grid are expected to have access to power. A situation that has never happened in this country before. We're strengthening the social safety network, trader money, market money, direct conditional cash transfer, and so on and so forth. And of course, strengthening of healthcare system and support for micro, small, and medium enterprises. I said it's a huge thing. We want to manufacture at least basic medical facilities, but which will meet international standards, drawing from the provisions in this wonderful program, the sustainability plan. We're looking at reduction in NAFDAC registration fees, and of course, Survivor Fund, which is for the benefit of small scale business people. You know, most of our businessmen are in the informal sector. 50 to 70% of them are in the informal sector. The idea here is that you support those who own these little businesses so that they can maintain people who are on their payroll. No sacking of people. They have to remain there and earn their own daily living. We're talking about promotion of utilization of domestic, which is also cheaper. We're talking of digital economy, and all that. This is to foster this culture of innovation and create a wide variety of technology and ICT jobs. Minister of Communication is doing, and digital economy is doing quite a lot in that area. This package, this stimulus plan, embraces over 2.3 trillion. So quite frankly, these are the issues that are dealing directly with citizens, whether we're managing the virus itself or we're managing the economy, because the two of them have tried to go to bed together. And so you can't manage one and leave the other one out. And that is what federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari is doing.
Honorable Minister, what is your take on the recently signed 2021 budget?
Recovery and resilience is the name that has been tagged by government, and this is also intended to be a reflection of where we started and where we are going. It seeks to exploit further into what we have started doing, we are doing, and what we intend to do within the context of consolidation of what government has been able to achieve so far in the face of dwindling resources. This is a budget that would cost Nigerian taxpayers over 13 trillion naira. This is a huge package. Well, there is a deficit, and most of the budgets today have deficit. Having a deficit is not an issue. What is important is what you want to borrow and do with that money. So we're not borrowing to pay salaries, we're borrowing to make up the shortfall for the purpose of implementing capital projects in critical areas like railway transportation, road network, power, aviation sector, ICT, and so on and so forth. Yeah, agriculture. So and of course, there's going to be massive investment in industry as well. We want to scale up production. So it is not a bad thing at all. If you look at the fact that by the time we took over, the installed capacity of power generation was very low. Today we have over 2.5 thousand megawatts, and it's huge. And if you remember in the past, over billions, how many billions were invested, over 15-16 billion dollars were invested in the power sector, and we got nothing. But today, because of total commitment and a sense of deep involvement and patriotism side of the president, a lot is happening in the power sector. It is there for everybody to see. And so if you permit me to go a little bit into this budget, it is not something that happened overnight. It's carefully planned. Passed the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, the National Assembly, which was cleared. And so today we're very happy that when you look at the figures of this budget, they are very encouraging. Crude oil benchmark is 40, which is okay, because if again you look at what one energy group said about the price of oil and the demand and the price of oil in 2021, then you know we're on the right track. The demand is going to increase, and therefore the price is also going to increase. Remember, you were told before, this is one thing I believe all of us are familiar with. From 56 or 100 before we came in, 56, then of course came down to 30 something, then to 20. Today it has started climbing up again, and with the fact that the vaccine has been found against this deadly pandemic, this deadly virus, these predictions are certainly realistic. They're based on objective reality, and I believe that we are on the right path. So security is going to consume about 38%. The primary purpose of government is to maintain the security of its people and properties. And so security is going to get a big one there. Capital expenditure is going to take about 30% of the total budget in real terms, and this is going to work. Education, ASU has agreed to go back. You can see a huge chunk here, 542 billion. Health, we're talking about health is work, is work. And the fact again here is, the COVID has not left us yet. 380 billion, and so on and so forth. So we're looking at crude oil output of 1.8 million barrels per day. But this is going to also increase. We want to believe this is also going to increase. So we're expecting a total revenue of 7.8 trillion, expenditure profile 13.5 billion. Then we'll have this deficit of 5 trillion, which shouldn't be cause for anxiety. We're going to borrow locally and outside, but the terms are not bad. And we're not going to borrow, as I said, to pay salaries. We're going to borrow to put into the capital projects, which will make life more meaningful for people, promote industry, promote business, and all for the benefit of people.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We're not done with you yet. We will quickly go on a break on Weekend File, and we will be back shortly.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification, but good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
My name is Nandok Jamda Muhammad.
Stevita
Hussein Musa. Goduna Joel Tinji. Said Musa. John. I'm a carpenter. I've been doing this for more than 8 years now.
And I said that plantain. Nakai Chimami Shekara Uku. I've been selling my tomatoes for about 10 years now, and I do it for a better Nigeria.
And I do it for a better Nigeria.
Now when the Sana and Lemuni Domin Nigeria to take about Domin Nigeria to come.
And you can see how we are doing our small little work to make Nigeria great.
As you can see, I'm a technician and I'm doing it to help myself and to help my generation.
Business.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. Commercial activities in Kano have continued to remain the nucleus of Nigerian economy in view of its contributions and connection to other economic sectors. Lawal Salawu Unua takes a look at some of the major markets and their roles to economic development of the state and beyond.
It is no more a news that Kano State
is a commercial center of northern part of the country, in view of the history which indicates the mark of trans-Saharan trade hundreds of years ago. The existence of popular markets in Kano like Singa for assorted food items, Dawano for grains and Kwegi for textiles justifies the position of the most populous state as the commercial hub not only in Nigeria but also in West Africa. For instance, Dawano markets, which came to be in more than 36 years, realizes hundreds of tons of grains and other cash crop yearly as turnover.
Most of our customers are from India.
The story is not different at Kantunkwari market, which traders from Kano and beyond described as the most popular textile market in Nigeria.
Statistically, we have at least over 2,500,000 people performing their business activities in this market.
We have customers from Ghana, Niger, and other African countries.
It's only swim materials that we come and buy, like zip, like threads, like gumstay.
Coming from Taraba State, head collars, lace, and atampa, also wrapper.
These are some of the reasons that made commercial activities to remain the nerve center of the economy in view of its connection with other sectors.
Commercial sector complements the agricultural sector in the sense that whatever is produced from the agricultural sector is being brought to the commercial sector for sale to the industries and what have you.
With the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, which affects all sectors of the economy, and efforts by the relevant stakeholders to mitigate its effect, there is hope for economic progress in the year 2021. Experts, however, believe that more needs to be done to support the economy for Nigeria to realize the target of competing with the global world economically. That was Hello Inua, NTA News.
Improved security situation in Borno State has paved way for voluntary relocation of some internally displaced persons to their ancestral homes mid-2020 by Borno State government owing to the gallantry of the Nigerian military in rendering the community safe for habitation hitherto under the control of Boko Haram terrorists. Maimuna Garba reports.
The situation in Borno State and by extension the Northeast region has continued to be strengthened, especially with the introduction of subsidiary counter-operations by the military like Operation Fireball, Kantana Jimlan and Ayuso Tomonuma, in addition to sustained aggressive clearance operations and patrols among others, where tremendous successes were recorded across the theater.
The security situation has actually witnessed great improvement compared to where we were before. We have been able to, carry out a lot of operations within the area, which led to neutralization of countless Boko Haram terrorists. We have also recovered a lot of weapons.
Borno State government, in its quest to restore lasting peace to the state, also introduced the Rapid Response Squad to fundamentally complement effort of the military in securing highways, logistic support to the military, and improved welfare of vigilantes, among other efforts.
The general security situation in the state for now is calm. We are going to have a serious collaboration and synergy with all the relevant stakeholders to ensure that remnants of Boko Haram and other criminals are wiped out completely.
The Agro Rangers initiative by Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in 2020, assisted by Borno State government with the involvement of civilian JTF, vigilante and hunter, has supported more farmers to access their farmlands, thereby strengthening security in flashpoint areas.
In 2021, we want to introduce technology into our operation.
Right from inception to date, we have never changed course, and this is what we intend and will continue to do.
With the sustained efforts of stakeholders and concurrent renewed security tactics in fighting insurgency war, the marauding terrorists will soon be cleared and lasting peace restored to the Northeast region. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Let's return to our Makudi Network Center, where Senator George Akume, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, is seated. Distinguished Senator, one more question before we are done with you. Quickly tell us the goals or the peculiar goals your ministry intends to pursue in 2021.
one of the principal mandates of my ministry is to work in synergy with the private sector for the purpose of creating jobs for Nigerian youth. And another one is to work and evaluate interministerial functions as directed by Mr. President, particularly with respect to special projects. And above all, all of us have been directed to ensure that we beef up the revenue profile of our respective ministries in the face of dwindling resources. One of our major goals in 2021, a very special one for that matter, is to ensure the creation of one industry per local government based on economic corridors. This will not just be a palliative, it is more than a palliative. It offers employment to many people and it creates entrepreneurs at the local level. To give you an example, if your local government specializes in the production of Benny seeds, then of course we decide an industry there that can process this Benny seed to a certain level, like the hauling, to ensure that you can now export and earn foreign exchange. That's the type of thing we said we're going to do according to economic corridors. And every local government has something that it specializes in. If there is a combination of local government, fine. They may decide to have an integrated plant that is even bigger than what one local government can do. But this doesn't mean that it's government that is going to manage. Individuals will do it, carefully identified with a correct profile to take over, to do this, to put it in place. They'll be properly guided. At the end of the day, it's not free money they are going to pay government this money. Number two, we intend to collect a lot more revenues from those who are in the government, particularly the operators of the lottery and the games in this country. Three, we intend to reactivate the Ghana Games, which is very popular with Nigerians. Three, and these are all revenue earning sources. We want to launch the national game here in the country, and again, lottery trust fund. We do quite a lot more. They did quite a lot in the area of providing vital equipment to various hospitals and other health institutions in the country in the fight against the Corona-19 pandemic. And so these are some of the things that we're planning. There are so many decided to be a little bit more particularistic in line with what you have asked me.
Akume, thank you for your time tonight on Weekend File, and we wish you good luck in 2021.
Thank you.
Time for our final break. Don't go away.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
We now join Olumide Eguntala with Sports Update.
Year 2020 no doubt remained unforgettable in the annals of Nigerian sports and the world over as a result of the outbreak of coronavirus that shut the entire universe down. This did not deter the developmental stride of the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, who ensured the commencement of restoration process of the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos, among other national monuments.
Monuments such as this, we'll find out options in which we can restore them back to glory.
The Ministry of Sports, in actualizing its mandate on adoption of facilities, began the demolition of illegal structures at the stadium to pave way for private investors.
Declare the eviction and demolition exercises with immediate effect.
And in the minister's quest to holistically develop the sector, he gave his blessings to the relaunch of the Principal's Cup at an event in Lagos. Meanwhile, the 2020 national elections of the Nigeria Football Supporters Club that returned Samuel Ikpeya as the national chairman for a second time in office gave hope of maximum support for the various national teams in the new year 2021.
Ensure that in all our next matches, all our next games, that we come out successful.
And these 4 years is going to witness greater achievements.
In another development, NTA will continue its live telecast of the Nigeria Professional Football League with a week 2 fixture between Kano Pillars and Katsina United that will be beamed live on NTA Network Service on Sunday. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
The death has been reported of Alhaji Muhammadu Adamo Hadijia, aged 71. An educationist in Jigawa State, Alhaji Muhammadu died after an illness, leaving behind his wives and children. Among his children is the former Minister of State Foreign Affairs that supervised Ministry of Information, Dr. Nuruddin Mohammed. Renowned medical doctor Godwin Ndaman Ajabo, who died recently, has been laid to rest in his hometown in Lokoja, Kogi State. Correspondent Ajibola Christopher reports that the funeral service and final prayers for the medical icon was at the Cathedral Church of the Holy Trinity, Lokoja.
The funeral service for late Galadima of Lokoja, Dr. Godwin Timothy Ndaman Ajapo, OON, was held at the Cathedral Church of the Holy Trinity, Lokoja. Dignitaries from within and outside the state, top government functionaries, politicians, councils of traditional institutions, Kogi State, bishops from various dioceses of the Anglican Communion, families of the deceased, as well as sympathizers.
It is your comfort. It is your strength. You are very present in times of challenges.
I've missed him in Lokoja here, both the traditional council and the Lokoja community. He was a great person.
In many ways, he has touched the lives of people within and without the family. He has been a blessing.
The remains of Galadima of Lokoja, Dr. Godwin Ajapo, was laid to rest at his compound in Lokoja.
Very caring. He could spend the last kobo he has to make sure that I'm healthy.
He was such a fantastic person. Wonderful heart.
In Lokoja, Ajibola Christopher, NTA News.
We'd like to thank you for being part of Weekend File today on the NTA, the very first edition in 2021. My name is Kenan Ima Abolike. Let's do it again next weekend. Bye-bye.
papa, mama, and pikin. Corona, no big pass us. We go fight time, we go win. As long as we remember to always do the right thing. Wash your hands, love each other, we go win, oh. Corona, na the virus, we dey worry human being. E no get Lego, but e dey waka from person to person. But we fit beat am, we fit stop am, if we maintain good hygiene and practice social distancing. We go win, oh.